And guys, in this next news story, it's coming from London ways, and 3 men who killed a man on Wembley Way have been jailed after they stabbed him 23 times. Hamza Iqbal, who's 25 years old, may he rest in peace, was with friends at around 11 o'clock in the night on September the 24th last year when they were suddenly attacked by 3 youths who came out of the blue, wielding machetes. Joshua Oladele, Micah Hines and Ali Alamiri were carrying out a revenge attack on behalf of their pal, a 28-year-old Dontae, who had been stabbed 11 days earlier. On Wednesday, the 3 attackers were jailed for life for Hamza's murder, but Snaresbrook Crown Court heard that Dontae had fled the country. Hamza's grieving family described him as a family man and a joker of the household. He was one of 6 kids, and Hamza's sibling says although mum would never admit it, he was the favourite. He was football crazy. Although he wasn't the best at playing, he was obsessed with Arsenal and never ever missed a game. He was a big Arsenal fan. On the day he was murdered, Hamza had watched the North London derby. Later that evening, he was in Wembley Way when their group was spotted by Dontae, who believed they were responsible for the attack on him on September the 13th. Judge Rosa Dean, the honorary recorder of Redbridge, said the attack took place against the background of gang territory dispute. Dontae phoned Oladele, who had worked as a drugs dealer since he was 13 years old, and then he picked up the trio and drove them to the area. After exiting the car wearing hoodies and ballies, the 3 attackers were seen by an eyewitness in the huddle, hyping each other up, pumping each other up. When Hamza and his friends saw the attackers, they ran. Oladele chased Hamza while Hines and Alamiri chased the others. Judge Dean said Alamiri slashed at one man's legs and described it as a miracle that man had actually escaped. Judge Dean went on and said Hamza was not so lucky. Oladele chased down Hamza while stabbing him. They continued to stab him 9 more times while he lay defenseless on the ground, and then Hines joined in the brutal attack, stabbing Hamza more times. The Judge Dean said, I'm sorry to add to this family's distress by spelling out the obvious truth, but he must have been in absolute terror when he was being stabbed again and again and again and again by these wicked individuals. Hamza was pronounced dead at Northwick Park Hospital around an hour later. His family said no words can capture how they felt when they got a call last night. Said, you never think something will ever happen to your own family. You keep repeating he's okay, he's okay. They can't take him yet, he's just a baby. Nobody would ever want to hurt him. They describe how the hardest part is seeing their mother's face every day, knowing she will never be the same. They said there's an empty void, an empty seat at the dinner table. The 3 attackers made their getaway in Dontae's car, but Oladele and Hines were arrested a few days later in Woolwich whilst they were hiding out, while Alamiri was arrested at his home address. At trial, the trio, who were all from Wembley, claimed they were just trying to scare Hamza's group by wielding machetes in the streets, and were only doing it because they were instructed by Dontae, who they were scared of and they would do anything for. However, the jury convicted them each of murder, and as I said, Dontae's legged it out of the country. So basically, these guys killed for a person that's done one on them. Sentencing the trio, Judge Dean said this was a punishment killing carried out by you as a group. He said, I hope you are sorry for what you have done. It is too early to say if you are. None of you during the trial have shown any pity or a word of apology for your actions. Everything you have done has been to try and save yourselves and minimize your responsibility. I will accept that the plan was Dontae's, but you were all ready and willing to execute it. So they were sentenced to life in prison. Oladele got a minimum of 28 years, Hines got a minimum of 25 years, and Alamiri got a minimum of 24 years for a guy who told him to do it, and he legged it himself. Detective Chief Inspector Mark Rogers, who led the investigation, said this was a ferocious, sustained attack by 3 men that left Hamza with no opportunity to defend himself. His family is devastated by their loss, and their lives are forever changed by the actions of 3 violent thugs. Those 3 men went out armed with weapons that evening. The only conclusion that can be made is that they set out that evening intent on violence. Our investigation team worked hard to build a case against the defendants, ensuring that they would face their consequences of their actions. Though nothing can bring Hamza back, it is my sincere hope that his family find a measure of solace in knowing that those responsible for his death will now spend many of their lives behind bars. Absolute madness, guys. Once again, I just want to say rest in peace to the victim, and my condolences go out to his family. And guys, in this next news story, 2 men have been rumbled over a drugs network in Birmingham after their messages uncovered the John O line. The pair were jailed for supplying crack and heroin after police shut down a highly active drugs line which was running for almost a year. The two men, Sean Bennett, who's 32, and Patrick McCormack, who's 46, ran the illegal Class A network which mainly operated in King's Standing in Birmingham between October 2022 and August last year. Officers from the County Lines Task Force discovered bulk messages showing the availability of the John line to supply heroin and coke along with their price list. Bennett was first arrested for failing to stop for cops and driving dangerously. They gripped him, and once they'd gripped him, they'd done a search on him. He was found in possession of the phone which was used for the John O drugs line and another phone involved in the operation and a quantity of coke. They put two and two together and locked the guy up. After examining the handsets and phone records, it was discovered the drugs line regularly diverted incoming calls to phone numbers linked to the other guy, McCormack. Messages from the John O line to McCormack's phone revealed discussions about the sale and supply of drugs. There was CCTV footage which also showed McCormack and Bennett purchasing a top-up for their drug phone handsets. Last August, after compiling sufficient evidence, police raided a number of Birmingham properties in connection with that line. Officers also seized a shotgun, £500 of suspected criminal cash and paraphernalia for the supply of Class A. Bennett, who's from Birmingham, and McCormack, who's from Birmingham, admitted their roles in the drugs network. Bennett was sentenced to 8 years and 6 months custody for being concerned with the supply and possessing Class A and dangerous driving at Birmingham Crown Court. McCormack was sentenced to 7 years and 4 months custody for supplying Class A drugs and possession of a shotgun. Detective Sergeant Gavin McGrath from the County Lines Task Force said, "These two guys, Bennett and McCormack, were two key suppliers of drugs in King's Standing." He said, "We will continue our work in bringing down key players in drugs line right across the force area." He said, "We know the misery dealers bring to their surrounding community and we will continue to break through such operations and jail them all." An infamous smiling dealer who prompted a police appeal to find him has been dealt an embarrassing blow after a judge ruled he'll be locked up for 45 months. Marlon Ziggy Dickens, who's 28, made headlines in 2016 when he posted an appeal released by Staffordshire Police as officers sought to locate him. Marlon taunted police whilst on the run by updating his profile picture to a smiling snap released by investigators seeking him after he failed to turn up to court sentencing on drug charges. The then 21-year-old ultimately handed himself in to a police station in Stoke-on-Trent after managing to evade officers for nearly half a year. He was jailed for 9 months and police have had the last laugh once again 8 years later after judges handed him a new, several times longer sentence for similar offences. Stoke-on-Trent Crown Court heard Dickens was running the infamous local Marlon drugs line and had a 20-year-old runner at his beck and call. Prosecutors alleged that the 28-year-old had used a SIM card across 7 phones and sent around 8,000 bulk messages advertising crack for sale over 88 days. The prosecutor, Tom Griffin, said Dickens offered potential customers deals and would call his pal who would then deliver the drugs to any buyers. The message would say active. There would be offers for buying multiple deals for a cheaper price. However, police busted his drugs operation.
It's your boy GC. Keep it locked, keep it real.